Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Thursday, the 11th of June, 2026. Sorry, I was a bit late getting started there, but I'm here now, and that's the main thing, I like to think. Hey, listen, how's it going? We've got Martin Harrow in the chat. We have got SG. We've got L. We have got Chrissy. We've got Alex in the chat. We've got Saragon in the chat as well. We've got Kieran Crossing. Hello, Kieran. And others, if you'd like to join our friends in the chat here, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button and wait for approximately one Earth minute, and you'll be able to, join in with the conversation. But don't be a troll, all right? It's the only rule that we have here. But I think we need to start to the mods out there. I think we need to start like giving the troll a little bit of. A bit of space, more than one, unless it's a horrifically bigoted comment. But, a little bit of space before we actually descend on them like a ton of bricks. Anyway, so I was going to say another reform councillor has stepped down, according to Saragon. Yeah, what's that now, 127 or something of the little fuckers? Anyway, right, so today we're going to be talking a bit about Nigel Farage. Sorry. But it has nearly 50 days have now passed without a refuck press conference. Now, you remember these press conferences that they used to have every other day? Do you remember them? Yeah, not doing them anymore. Farage used to love to get up and answer questions from his smug little fawning journo friends, the little people he went to school with and played, wank on the cracker with. And, they're all in it together, aren't they? Really? No, they really genuinely are. All in it together. Anyway, so it's been 50 days. And do you know what else has been 50 days? It's been 50 days since the revelations about the £5 million personal gift from crypto billionaire Christopher Harborne. And also privately educated, of course, because they're all fucking on, aren't they? Oh, they're so posh. When I see Vox Pops of people in Makerfield and they're going, oh, I like Nigel Farage because he's working class like me. And I'm like, What? I mean, come on. There's people who don't pay attention in school. Okay, they might not know what the capital of Malta is. Whatever, who cares? But, there are people who, honestly, to be that thick, I mean, that requires some kind of serious head injury or, some kind of copulation between cousins or worse. I don't know. Last night's BBC coverage of Belfast disturbance was an absolute disgrace. Yeah, they kept calling it a protest. Didn't they? John Burrows. They kept saying, "Oh, it's a protest." No, it's not. It's a fucking riot. A fucking riot. Police were out with a fucking riot cannon, firing fucking riot water at the fucking rioters. And I'm like, "Oh, it's a protest. Look at the protest. Both sides. Both sides." Some people there weren't smashing things up or throwing things at the police, or trying to burn down people's houses with them in it. Yeah. Valletta. Well done, John Burrows. You go to the top of the class, you get a gold star and the jelly baby. Ooh, that reminds me. I should actually set a goal, shouldn't I? I should set a goal this morning. It's always nice to have a goal in life, isn't it? So I'll set a goal, any flavour. Super chat, and that will result in confetti. Gold stars. Jelly babies all round. So why did the jelly baby end up in jail? He mixed with all sorts. Anyway, dad jokes aside. Back to Farage, I'm afraid. So Farage has given some... Oh, God, hang on. That was the wrong button to press, wasn't it? I wasn't even ready for the papers. Was it even ready? Shit. I hear Nigel helped his nephew out when he was caught, but after being naughty boy upskirting, moved the trial from Kent to Clacton to keep it as quiet as possible. He ended up with a fine. Unky Nigel. Well, that is literally the etymology of the word nepotism. Comes from the same root in Latin as nephew. The word that became nephew. Nepotism, nephew, M-E-N-N-E-P. Giving your nephew a job, nepotism. There you go, nepo babies, they make their dreams come true. Doobie wop. Jelly beans or jelly babies? Well, there you go. Yeah, naughty little jelly bean going into the bar, and the barman says, I forgot that joke. My favourite barman joke is the one where Comic Sans goes into the bar and the barman says, "I don't serve your type." So that Comic Sans, or the bit of red tarmac comes in and they go, "Oh, it's a bit of a psychopath." Horse goes into a bar. Barman says, "Why the long face?" Okay, I'll stop it now. Right, okay. Man walks into a bar. Ow! Etc. Okay, so the Reform's press conference after this gap has been fronted up by Richard Tice, who aggressively stood up in Parliament yesterday and went bark, 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 which was a bit weird. And we had Tice, and we also had this the guy who used to be part of Refuck. He's left now. What's his fucking name? Hang on. I'll have to check yesterday's notes. See notes, lots of notes. What's his name? I don't know. Chris Vince, Adrian Ramsey, Hannah, Freddie, Tice. Oh, James McMurdoch. It's a terrible name, isn't it? It's probably related to the Murdochs somehow. James of Murdoch, who is a Refuck MP, he was elected as a Refucker, and then he had to give up his place in the party because he's a crook, and he beat his girlfriend so badly that she ended up in hospital, and he ended up in jail. So Tice got a question. James McMurdoch got a question. So that was 2 for Refuck. And then the Lib Dems, obviously, they had questions coming from. This is in question time yesterday, Prime Minister's question time, right? Prime Minister's questions, even they don't need the time, and it's superfluous. It's like having a PIN number. You don't need the number; it's just your PIN. We had the DUP asking questions. We had the Lib Dems, Tom Gordon. We had 2 Greens. We had Chris Vince and Hannah Spencer, who made the funniest joke there. We had another Lib Dem with Freddie Van Mario or something like that. And we only had 1 question from the Conservatives. And I know I'm talking about Farage today, about the fact he's disappeared. He's on a big fucking disappearing act. He used to just disappear in his own constituency. Now he's sort of disappeared across the board. Except, when he's appearing in a field, in a nondescript field somewhere in the middle of nowhere to tell everyone else to riot. But it was a bit odd that the Tories weren't anywhere to be seen at PMQs yesterday. Like, Kemi Badenoch turned up, asked the same question 6 times, and it was a shit question. It was like, when are you going to publish this report? And he's like, in the next couple of weeks. And now, apparently that report that she was banging on about is coming out on Friday, which Lindsay Hoyle's not happy about because it should be presented to Parliament first. He gets very upset when politicians announce things to the media or release things that should be announced in Parliament first. He's like, "Oh, what am I, chopped liver?" He gets very upset. Obviously, he doesn't talk like that. Man warped into a bar. There were no survivors. So that's kind of fame, man. Tice followed the Trump handbook and attacked the media. Yeah. I know Kemi is irrelevant, but she asked some. She asked the same question over. It was like, when are you going to publish that report into Defence? And then he's like, I got a couple of weeks. And she asked him the same question like 3 times. And then she went, when are you gonna cut like welfare to pay for the Defence? When are you going to do that, eh? And he went, I'm not. He didn't stand up and say, this welfare budget you keep going on about, right? This welfare budget that you Tories keep going, oh my God, the welfare budget, right? So that over 50% of that is pensions to the people who vote for you. Yeah, okay. So we'll get rid of them, shall we? That's what you want us to do, and we'll call it the Tory pension bereavement fund. I don't know. Tice was a complete embarrassment. Veins popping or performative rage. Yes, it was. It was very performative. It was embarrassing. A perfectionist walked into a bar. He said it had been set to the Wogan height. No, sorry, you've lost me on that one. Badenoch comes across as a bossy head girl at a posh school. Well, she was. She was a bossy head girl at a posh school in Nigeria. She went to a very expensive private school in Nigeria. A horse goes into a bar. Hello, Carol Malone. Terrible jokes. Well, they say it's how you tell them, says Fat Spice. It is how you tell them. Okay, so there was Reform held a Makerfield event with Robert Kenyon after giving 1 hour's notice to the press. So they couldn't, like, I don't know, get there in time, prep any good, decent questions. The Guardian reporters were present, but they weren't permitted to ask any questions due to issues with accreditation. And Farage has faced no questions at the event about a £5 million gift. Like, no one's asking questions because it's all the client press. It's all the Telegraph and the Mail and the Express and the Times and, you know, all these absolute bloody rags that don't have to pursue burning questions. Like, you took 5 million from a crypto billionaire, yeah, and then you made your manifesto all about 99% of it about how you were going to make it easier to make money out of crypto, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, fuck off. That's got to stop. It's got to absolutely stop. And this is a huge criticism I have of the current government, especially under Keir Starmer, and it's why he's got to fucking go. Because I need someone who's going to take these bastards on. I need someone who's going to fucking say, listen, this is out of order. You know, speak for me, speak for you, speak for everybody, and say, hang on, what is it that you billionaires want us to do? You want to stop trans people from using the toilets? What is wrong with you, you fucking weirdos? Oh, you want us to get rid of all kinds of censorship online, so children can be undressed on Grok and that can be legal? Yeah, that's what the world the billionaires want, is it? Okay, cool. They want to get away with everything with no fucking consequences, and this is what I want to get into today, because Farage isn't alone in this. Farage, Tommy Robinson, that Trump creep, that Putin creep, that gobshite in Argentina, what's his name, Milei, and Netanyahu, all these fuckers, they're all insulated from consequence in a way that you and I aren't. You know? We have consequences for everything. We can't let down our guard for a fucking moment in this life. We book a trip on a train, right? And we accidentally fuck up, and instantly, as soon as it comes up with, like, you're on the train, you realise you fucked up. In a normal world, you'll be able to go, oh shit, undo that. You know, like you can undo a bloody email that you've sent if you're quick enough. Press undo, and it just doesn't do it. It doesn't go through. No, because we haven't taken the money yet. It's fine. It's fine. They're very quick to take the money, aren't they? Very fucking quick to take the money. See, now it takes like 3 days for money to come into your account. When it's coming to you, it gets held in a holding account for a few days. That's funny, that, isn't it? You know, it doesn't need to. There's absolutely no reason for that. Banks do it so they can keep loads of fucking money for 3 days, or, you know, it's a bank holiday weekend, 5 fucking days. They can keep that money, and over those days they can make money with that money. It's all in transit. But we can't relax. We won't. If we try and change that train ticket, that's going to cost us 50 quid. It's the equivalent of a 50 quid fine for having to change it. Same with a flight. Oh, fucking hell, the stress of flights. The stress of flying anywhere these days. Get charged for everything. You get charged for, like, if you want to bring a snack on board, you want to bring water on board. Oh, no, I've got to pour me water out. Let's get some more water. That'd be £5 for a fucking bottle of water. How is that legal? Got to get to the airport. Oh, I've got to get dropped out. Oh, shit. Have you got some change to get through the fucking barrier? Oh, no. Well, I'm going to miss my flight then. Stress all the time. You go to town. You park your car. Fucking stress of parking your car. Trying to get on the parking app. That, you know, there's 17 different types of parking app depending on which fucking city you're in. And then you got to, oh, God, I've already downloaded. Oh, I'll have to download it again. And then you're like, okay, I put in my details. And it says, oh, you've already got an account. What's your password? And you're like, I don't know what the fucking password is. Well, I'm not going to allow you to park your car on a different account. I'm like, what does it matter? I'll give you a different fucking credit card number. That's what you want. That's what you fucking require. And you're there for half an hour, you know, missing your meeting, missing your job interview, missing your date, or whatever the fuck you're supposed to be going to your kid's performance in the school show, where you're freaking out trying to pay for the, oh, God damn, and if you forget to pay, you know, you go to hospital to get your balls checked out to make sure you haven't got cancer or something. And then they're like, oh, by the way, did you know you were supposed to pay for the parking? Yeah, you forgot, didn't you? Yeah, because we had one machine outside the fucking hospital, you know, and you probably had your mind on other things at the time because you thought you might have cancer. But, you know, we'll charge you for that. 70 quid. I'll have fucking 70 quid fine. That's what life is like for the rest of us. We're constantly fearful. If you're making this kind of shit, you're constantly fearful of the algorithm. You're constantly fearful of not getting these super chats, and therefore you're going to have to pack it up. You're going to have to go and get a proper job. But can you get a proper job? Can you fuck? All jobs are insecure now. There's no more jobs for life. Everyone's freaking out about getting made redundant at the drop of a fucking hat. That's the life for the rest of us. Constant pressure, constant anxiety, pushing down on us in everything we do. We go out, I don't know where the bus is going to turn up. I mean, maybe if you live in London and the buses are pretty regular. Anywhere else in the fucking country, you're fucked because the buses are shite because they're all privatised by Margaret fucking Thatcher. So it's all companies competing against each other. They're not going to take on something that's not going to make them loads of money. They're not going to run a bus service for a village with 100 people in it. Why would they do that? There's no money in that. Then you got the housing situation. No one can get on the fucking housing ladder. People are spending. It used to be 9% of your income would get spent on rent or on your mortgage. Now 9%. Now it's over 50%. It's over 50 fucking percent of your income. You want to go to the cinema? Fuck off. You can't. It's too expensive. It's 18 quid a ticket now. 18 fucking quid to go watch a fucking movie? Are you mad? Everything else has just gone up in price like crazy. You know, you go into the checkout at the bloody supermarket. You have to put stuff back on the shelves. It's, I can't have that. Can't have that. It's suddenly gone up twice, and the price has gone up twice. Or if you do want to get something, it's fucking shrinkflated, so you're going to get half for the same amount of money that you were paying a week ago. We can't go anywhere. We can't do anything. Everything's a massive fucking stress. Our jobs, our lives, our habitation situation, our food situation. It's all a massive fucking stress. The rich, Nigel fucking Farage, Donald Trump, you know, these fucking billionaires, Elon fucking Musk, they don't give a fuck. Consequences mean nothing to these motherfuckers. Absolutely nothing. I'll give you an example, right? You know when some cunt from Microsoft, like that Bill Gates creep, and I know he tried to polish his image, right? And he doesn't look quite as bad as the other tech bro twats, right? I get that. He doesn't look as bad, yeah? But he is. He's a fucking gobshite. He only created the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation because at the turn of the 21st century, he was getting shat on by everyone for his absolutely disgusting trade practices where he's gobbling up the competition and making sure that everyone had to use Internet Explorer to look on the internet and all that kind of stuff. And all of them, but you know, him and Zuckerberg and Musk, if they get sued for doing something, so that could be, you know, unfair competition practices, or in the case of Zuckerberg, it could be like allowing kids access to something they shouldn't be seeing, or in the case of Elon Musk, having a thing set up to undress children, so all the paedophiles that use your fucking website can wank themselves silly looking at pictures of real children that AI has undressed. I mean, for fuck's sake, if that goes to court, none of them are going to go to jail. None of them are going to go to jail for breaking the law, for evading tax. None of them are going to go to jail. They get a fine. The water companies, they go to fucking jail. They get a fucking fine. They get a fine. Here's the thing, right? It is cheaper to pay the fucking fine than it is to clean up the rivers. Clean up the rivers is going to cost billions. The maximum fine they can get is like a few million. So what are you going to spend the money on? You know? And even if it gets to the point where it goes to the Supreme Court in the United States of America before, you know, it became completely Trumpicized, it will go to these courts, these federal courts in America, and they'll say, right, that's it, Mr. Zuckerberg, you've done these, you know, you're allowed Cambridge Analytica to steal people's data and then tell them that the EU was going to come and take away their cup of tea and kill all the polar bears. That literally fucking happened, by the way. And what happens? What happens? They get a £27 million fine, or $1 million, I guess, for America. And who pays for that? Does Zuckerberg pay that out of his own pocket? Does he? Fuck, they're insured. It comes out the insurance. It doesn't give it out. It doesn't even come out of fucking Meta. It doesn't come out of Facebook. It comes out of the insurance company they're insured against getting sued, against having to pay out money for court costs. So it's an insurance that they pay. Imagine that. Imagine you're a career criminal and you got caught burgling people's houses and you're like, it's all right, I got insurance. You don't go to jail and you don't have to pay a fine. You don't get any punishment whatsoever. You see all these rich people who get done for speeding or drink driving and they get a few points on the license and walk out and go, oh, I got a few pounds on my license. Oh, paid a fine. Oh, paid a fine of like 100 quid. You're charging a millionaire 100 quid. Also, while you're down in London, if you're Uncle Rich Moneybags, you're sitting in this townhouse in Belgravia or near Buckingham Palace in Victoria, and your little fucking townhouse is worth what, £27 million? Is it? How much are those townhouses worth? How much tax? How much council tax do you reckon they're paying? Hey, less than you, mate. Less than you. Wherever you are in the country, I guarantee those motherfuckers are paying less than you. Because those councils don't need the money from the council tax. They get enough from the business rates and from other sources, probably dealing drugs. I don't know what rich people do. Dealing humans, slavery, I don't know, some kind of abomination, some underground sex den or whatever these porn barons make their money from. I don't know. But I'll tell you this, they are paying less tax than you. The council tax on Buckingham Palace is about £2,000 a year. And the Labour government, they tiptoe to the Ocky. Don't want anyone to see. And they're like, okay, all right, so gonna hit the triple 20 here. I'm gonna get 60 points, right? Oh, well, if I go for that, it might upset some people. All right, well, what I'll do is I'll just go for the 1. Yay, hit the 1, everyone. And then all the rich people are like, what? You brought in a mansion tax for mansions that worth more than £5 million, you bastards. You brought in VAT for people going to private schools. Yes, private education should be taxed like anything fucking else that's fucking private. Private healthcare, private insurance, private fucking education. I don't give a fuck. It's private. It's something that you can get for free off the state. So if you're going to pay for it, you got to fucking pay for it, all right? No, I know they're putting VAT. They're putting VAT on private schools. Oh, good. Fucking put all the VAT on private schools. Oh, but it's going to discourage people from going to private school. Good, great. Get them to go to state school, and the rest of us have to, motherfuckers. Oh my God, they're bringing in inheritance tax for like billionaires, So next time a billionaire like the Duke of Westminster dies, his son can't inherit £11 billion tax-free, because that happened about 15 years ago, Tax-free, £11 billion tax-free. So we'll try and close some of those loopholes. We'll say, if you're a massive landowner like Jeremy Clarkson or Jeremy Dyson or some other cunt called Jeremy, I don't know, maybe Jeremy Hunt, and your car kit, what a big beautiful day that'll be. In your car kit, your kids can't have everything. Can't have everything that you've amassed in your life. A lot of that's got to go to the exchequer, okay? Because we've got to make it fair. I'm with Lewis Goodall on this. I think inheritance tax over a certain threshold should be 100%. That's it. 100%. You die, all the money goes to the king. That's what happens in Liverpool if you die without a will. That's true, If you've got no dependents, no living heirs, and you die without a will, your money goes to the king if you die in Liverpool. Because it's part of the ancient Duchy of Lancashire. It's Lancaster, Duchy of Lancaster or Lancashire, one of the two. I don't know. Anyway, we've got all this fun coming in the chat here. We've got Viper Scott, who's got a £5 super chat for me. Thank you very much to get the goal started. Woohoo! Yes. Just need another 5 million of them, and then I'll be on the same level as Nigel Farage, who needs it for his security. I've got an idea for you, Farage. Right? Listen. Right? If you weren't such a twat, then people wouldn't want to do you harm. Well, maybe some people would. The people who know you personally, but the rest of us, we wouldn't think twice about throwing a milkshake at just some random on the street. But no, he had to get into politics because that's his gravy train. That's how he makes his money. Like I do these live shows. He does his politics. He turns up and he says horrible things about minorities. He says that the EU is coming to eat your lunch. It's coming to take your children away. It's coming to kill your dog. It's going to take the polar bears. It's going to take away your cup of tea. It's going to pick up your freshly brewed cup of tea. It's going to smash it on the floor. That's what the EU does, They're going to let Turkey in, Here we are, 10 years after that poster came up saying Turkey's going to join the EU. Has Turkey joined the EU? No. No, Turkey hasn't joined the EU. Do you know why? Well, because of various human rights atrocities that have been carried out by Erdogan, the leader there. But aside from that, every member of the European Union has a veto on new members. One country doesn't want a new member to join, uses its power of veto, which we used to have, but we gave that up because Nigel Farage told us to. Nigel Farage, a posh, braying, racist, anti-Semitic son of a bitch. He turns up and everyone goes, oh, Nigel, oh, go on, be racist, Nigel. I love it when you're racist. I want to rub myself against your racist body. And you're just like, God, how pathetic, how fawning, how deferential. And that's the big problem in this country. There is the lack of empathy, absolutely 100% lack of empathy. And some, the minority of people, but there is a definite group of people who lack any kind of ability to understand the emotional distress of other, or the emotional state of other people. Okay, right. That's one thing. That's one thing. But the deference, the fawning, the tugging of the forelocks, the doffing of the caps, that to me is the cringiest thing about my nation. It's so fucking cringe. And it's that thing of like, there's a very British sense that they want to be the sub and the dom like simultaneously. They're like Ronnie Barker in the sketch with I look up at him and I look down at him. They want to be in the middle. They want to be in the middle. They want someone to look up to. They want to look up to the Farages and King Sausage Fingers and the whole family and Jeffrey Epstein and Elon Musk. Like people who are rich and fucked up, right? They're like, oh, you're rich and fucked up. I love that. I'll do anything for you. I'll die for you. They're like the nanny from the Omen. Look at me, Damien. It's all for you. It's all for you, Farage. It's all for you, you horrible bollock-faced Foghorn of ignorance. And then they jump. And that's embarrassing. That is one thing that really embarrasses me about this nation. The deference, but also on the flip side of the same coin, because this exists in people's cognitive dissonance in their brains. The other side of this is that they're incredibly arrogant when it comes to anyone they see as below them. And you have this group of people in this country who are at once, they're giving and receiving at the same time. Don't get too graphic, but they are behaving in a way that is really, really, really detrimental to the nation's mental health and the nation's health economically, in terms of society, in terms of commercial enterprise, in terms of investment. They are acting not in Britain's best interests because they're like, I know my place. I know my place. And this is something that I fucking hate. I hate it when I hear people say that someone has ideas above their station. I hate the idea that someone has a station in life. I look at Matt Hancock, not for too long, because he's got a face like a fucking festering bollock. But look at Matt Hancock. He is the epitome of averageness. The epitome of he doesn't really know what he's doing. Someone who's on work experience because their daddy owns the company. Went to private school, ended up becoming the fucking Secretary of State for Health during the worst pandemic this country has seen since the Black fucking Death. And what does he do? He puts a ring of protection around the care home. No, sorry, by protection, I meant COVID. He puts a ring of COVID around, actually gets dead bodies and been killed with the plague, and he flings them over the ramparts in a massive trebuchet, lands them in the pit, and go, oh, fuck, now we've all going to die of the plague. That's what he did. He took sick people from hospitals, sick elderly people who had COVID, and he put them in the nursing homes so everyone else in the nursing home could have a lovely bit of that nice little COVID. Guy killed hundreds of thousands of people, that motherfucker. Absolute motherfucker. Because, middle-aged, average white man, but elevated beyond his status, his position, his station in life by dint of the fact Mammy and Daddy had lots of money. I've got a pony. Gobshite. Ideas above their station. If you're going to talk to me about people's fucking stations, you've lost me. You've lost me. The only station that exists is your own capabilities. The idea that you somehow got to stay at a certain level because you were born in a certain road, on a certain street, a certain bit of town, in a certain city, and in a certain country, and you're not allowed to elevate yourself above that. And when people do, God, people hate them. Look at the vitriol that working class celebrities get. And some of it is deserved for someone like, I don't know, Jordan, or someone who's a twat, keeps drink driving. But for a lot of working class people who've done well for themselves, they tend to be footballers. They tend to do well because football isn't an elite sport, unlike pretty much every other sport that people play, which are elite sports. Golf, it's very expensive to learn to play golf. Motor racing, are you fucking kidding me? Okay, we'll have some millionaires racing around the track. I mean, it is the sport of the aristocracy, effectively, who can afford to do that kind of shit. Yachting? What? When you look at the British gold medal winners for a lot of Olympic events, and then you see what schools they went to, a lot of them went to private school, especially when specialist equipment was required. Because, you went to a state school and you were given a rope. Here you go, here's your rope. Meanwhile, in Lord fucking Fauntleroy's private school, they've got badminton courts, they've got a golf course, they've got a lake, they've got a river to row on, they've got these sculls, whatever they're fucking called, the big ships to sail down the boat, row down the river on. They've got all these facilities, paid for, subsidised by you and me. The musical instruments and sporting equipment in private schools is subsidised by you and me out of our taxes. Don't that piss you off? Pisses me off. Well, let's not mention it, because when you bring this up, invariably someone who's very posh and middle class, you can usually tell because they're class rather than class. I mean, they're not very middle class. They'll say, no, we need private schools because, and you're like, did you go to private school? Yeah, I didn't go to private school. Do your kids go to private school? No, my kids don't go to private school, but we do need them. I think they're an excellent addition to the social fabric of the society that we live in. No. They're fucking awful. Little cunt farms, that's what they are. Little borstals for rich boys to go and, abuse each other. And then that damage that is caused to kids in these schools where, let's not forget, don't need to be inspected by Ofsted. Teachers don't need to be qualified. I don't even think they need to, by law, have to have a fucking proper enhanced background check. You could just be a mate of the head teachers out in a club, meet someone. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, would you like to be a teacher at my school? Yeah, I like the cut of your jib. Yeah, okay. I don't have any qualifications. I don't even have an A level in anything. But yeah, I'm gonna teach at a private school. Yay! Are there lots of cute kids there? Yeah. Well, hey, let's go. Safeguarding issue. Don't tell me it isn't. But yes, this is the lived reality, the two-tier system that Nigel Farage likes to go on about. It's not that I'm discriminated against for being white. I absolutely am not. In many ways, I have white privilege up the kazoo. I never have to white male privilege up the kazoo. I never have to worry about getting stopped and searched by the police. It's never happened to me in my life in this country. Why? Because I'm fucking white as fuck. Of course they're not going to search me. Why would they? Might look a bit dicey me walking down the street, in the middle of the night, but no, they're going to pull me over. I could drive a sports car. They wouldn't pull me over in a sports car. I could be driving a Merc. They could be like, oh, it looks like somebody who'll drive a Merc. If I was black, that'd be a different matter. You know it. If you're black and you apply for a job at your name and your name doesn't sound white, you have to send loads more applications. They're way more likely to say no because you don't sound white. Two-tier system, Nigel. Two-tier system. Is this what you're talking about? Is this the two-tier system? Them and us? Yeah. No. It's you motherfuckers and the rest of us. That's what it is. That's the two-tier system. And if you are rich enough, you get the connections, you get the top jobs, and you escape scrutiny. You escape accountability at every fucking level. Whether you are Elon Musk putting out child porn on his site, or whether you are Nigel Farage getting 5 million from a crypto donor whose job it is to run a crypto service that allows the Russians to escape sanctions, to avoid sanctions that have been placed on them by this country. By this country. If you're Jeffrey Cox, this Parliament is a disgrace. Privately educated, of course. If you're Jeffrey Cox, of course, you can go over to the British Virgin Islands, or some other state. No, it wasn't even the Virgin Islands, was it? Was it Antigua or somewhere? He went over and he was sitting there as part of he was part of the party that was at the time in charge of the government, and he's there advising another country on how to avoid paying what they should do to Britain for things, advising a foreign government while he was a Tory, while he was in the Tory party, while they were in office, while they were in power. That is a disgrace. Oi. Anyway, look, we've got loads of cool stuff coming through here. We've got 5 Hughes the World gift memberships that have gone out to Andrew Luke. We've got Bemused in Balham. We've got Josh, and we've got Dean, and we've got Mark's side. Hello. One and all. I hope you're all feeling groovy this morning. Welcome. You are all awesome. You are all absolutely awesome. If I press this button, it would actually bloody work. Hey, welcome. You're awesome. Martin Harrow there with Boost the Goal. Thank you very much for that super chat, my friend. That is very kind of you. Next up, we've got Paul Fletcher. £5 super chat. Francis Ween once pointed out that Farage in Malaysian is pronounced exactly the same as Farage in English. Google the word. The Malaysian word Farage. Doesn't it mean vagina? Doesn't it mean... It's an Arabic word meaning joy after sadness. No, that can't. Farage in Malay. Farage. Oh yes, Farage is the Malay word for vagina. I thought so. Yeah. Yep. Nigel Farage. Rhymes with garage. And also is Malaysian for cunt. Anyway, Francis, thank you very much. Isn't Lando Norris dad a millionaire? Correct me if I'm wrong. No, he is very much a millionaire, and Lando went to private school, because of course he did. Lando system? No, Lando's not a system. Lando's a racing driver. Anyway, Viper Scott, £2 super chat. Diz is getting a fix. Confetti time. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm here all day. Right. George only. Thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Wow, straight in there. Don't empathise, but do fawn over the super rich, a social hypocrisy. Surely, isn't it? The EU is a dictatorship, a massive lie. Yeah. The amount of lies. I once did a video and I just listed all the lies. Well, not all of them, but so many of the lies that the tabloids have put out about the EU over many years. For 30 years of just absolute tabloid bullshit, and it's hard to argue, that people have been brainwashed. People have actually been subjected to toxic, paranoid propaganda, and they are told who to hate. It's like, who do we hate today? I've spoken about this before. We have the wheel of hate. They spin it in a think tank in 55 Tufton Street. Spin the wheel of hate. Who are we going to hate today? Migrants. Yay. The EU. Yay. Trans people. Yay. Who are we going to hate today? Somalians. Yay. Let's go after the Somalians. Let's burn down the houses so this never happens again. Yeah. Bruce Lee Styles. Graham super chat. Bruce Lee. Yeah, I've dishonored my family. So yes, we got the 5 million gift, which apparently, according to Nigel Farage, is a matter not worth discussing. It was a security funding, and then it wasn't. It was a reward for Brexit. Don't ask me any questions. It was a reward for Brexit. And Sanders Commissioner inquiry reportedly opened. Was reportedly opened into this gift. Reform insists no rules were broken. And this is it, right? You nick a Twix bar from the shop, right? You could be arrested for that. You nick some nappies from the co-op because, you need nappies for your baby, or some formula from the Tesco Metro. You could be put in jail for that. You could literally be put in jail for that. And yet here he is, taking £5 million from an international gangster, a man who makes money in part by laundering money for the Russians, the Russian state, the pariah state that Nigel Farage fawns all over. Putin's the leader he respects most in the world, he says. Then you've got Tommy 10 Names turning up in Moscow with Elon Musk. Elon Musk, who married his 3-year-old stepdaughter when she was old enough. Elon Musk's stepmom is his stepsister. Doesn't get much more fucked up than that. What is this man doing? What is he doing? Why does he have a platform? Why does he? He's a disgusting man. If there was any kind of justice in this world, he'd be in jail. He'll be in jail for the rest of his fucking miserable, godforsaken life. But no, the rich don't go to jail, my friends. Look at who was that gobshite who died in jail? Epstein, that's the one. Jeffrey Epstein. When he first went to jail in the 2000s, afterwards when he was still friends with Mandelson, he was still friends with Prince Andrew and still shagging Fergie. He was put, like, effectively given the lightest possible sentence for being a nonce that was available to the justice system to give him, because he was rich. Watch the Wolf of Wall Street, right? He gets away with it. He gets put in a jail, and he's playing fucking tennis in jail for a few months, and then he gets out after all the shit he's done, all the lives he's ruined, to all the money he's stolen. Always takes me back to that cartoon back in the credit crisis, the credit crunch, the global economic downturn that happened in 2008. And it was a cartoon of someone doing a bank robbery, and he's got the guns, and he's got like he's got a bag of money coming to him, and then there's a bank manager walking out the bank with this entire sack of money on his back, and just looking at this bank robber going, amateur. Elon should be in jail. Yeah. 12 police officers were injured during last night's riots in Belfast. Yeah. Townsend says private school has smaller class sizes. I have no affluent middle class people who put them into private school because the kids were not getting support they needed in state school. Yeah. But I mean, that's what they do, Townsend. That's what they do. They wind down the service so people are forced to go private. We did this with or at least support the privatisation. We saw this with British Telecom, or the GPO, as it was, the what was it called? The old phone network in the UK. They made it shit. They made it so if your phone went down, you had to wait two months for another one. So you had no phone and no way of contacting the outside world. Things took absolutely ages for anything to fucking happen. And then the government came along and said, we're going to make British Telecom, and then there'll be competition. And there wasn't. Who was competition for British Telecom? Mercury. Okay, they're defunct. Competition. Still to this day, BT own all the fucking lines. You get yourself some Virgin Internet or some O2 Internet or whatever, or some Vodafone Internet to your house. Fiber optic cables coming to your house, 500 megabits per second. Wonderful. All that infrastructure is OpenReach. BT. It's a fucking monopoly. They made it shit. They did the same with the trains. They made them shit, and they said, "Oh, we've got no choice but to privatise them because they're so shit." But they made them shit. This government and previous governments have not put education as a priority and made it so that, especially if you're on the special needs, your parents got a bit of wodge, you'll be all right. The reality is that if you are ADHD, if you're dyslexic, if you're autistic, and your parents have got a bit of wodge, you're probably going to be all right. Same with being gay. Same with being trans. If you're trans and your parents are fucking millionaires, you're sorted. You can get all the gender affirming treatment that you need. Just fly to Switzerland, go and get it. If you're rich, you can fucking kill yourself legally. Go to a Dignitas clinic. Die in a bed surrounded by your loved ones. You can do that if you're rich. If you're not rich, you can't. If you're not rich, you have to go through puberty in this country. If you're rich, you can live and work and travel to any country in Europe. Any country in the world, to be honest with you. But let's just concentrate on the EU right now. 27 of the richest and most peaceful and most prosperous countries on the planet. You can't. I can't. Because I'm not rich. The rich can. They live a very, very, very different life to the rest of us. The leisure class. That's what Farage is. Never had a proper job in his life. He'll never have a proper job. He'll never work 9 to 5. He just turns up and drinks. He went to Parliament the other day to give a horrible speech in Prime Minister's question time. He didn't ask a question, really. He just gave a speech about how much of a bollock-faced twat he is. And then 2 hours later, he's there at some posh London club that the likes of you and me aren't even allowed near. If you went 100 metres of that place, we'll be we'll have the shit beaten out of us for, daring, feigning to look upon the magisterial gaze of the fucking the forbidden city. And he's there having a drink in the afternoon. That's all right, isn't it? It's an all right job. I'd like that job. Can I have that job? £91,000 a year. You get to stand up, say one thing for 45 seconds, sit down again and go to the pub. Fuck me. Can I do that? I'll be good at that. Go on, give us a job. Go on, I could do that. Go on, give us a job. I could talk for 45 seconds. I can talk for 65 and a half hours, mate. Fucking 45 seconds. That's nothing. Give me £91,000 a year. Go on. Oh, no, well, that's not enough for him. Oh, he couldn't possibly live off £91,000 a year. He needs $2 million a year. So he's going to shill for gold. He's going to shill for the Russians. He's going to shill for cryptocurrency. He's going to shill for anyone who'll give him 80 quid to say up the Ra. Supporting the IRA. He did that for 80 quid. 80 quid, he said, up the Ra. Imagine what he'll do for 5 million. What a gobshite. But yeah, refuck. I mean, it's a horrible, horrible party filled with horrible, horrible people. Rupert Lowe's, who's also privately educated, who was a refucker, he's now become Restore Britain, who's being amplified by Elon Musk, because Elon Musk and Farage don't get along. That's the thing about these right wingers, right? They fight like rats in a sack at the top, whereas the left wing, the people at the top don't really give that much of a fuck about each other, to be honest with you. It's the people underneath who are all like, trying to get a word in edgeways. We're all fighting amongst ourselves. They're very good at making us fight amongst ourselves, aren't they? Aren't they? They are. Sorry to say, but they're fucking world class at getting us to fight amongst ourselves. Whereas, that lot, is there going to be anyone who's watched those riots in Southampton and watched the riots in Belfast and said, I'm not going to vote for refuck now? Nah. Anyway, so yeah, Clacton, as Nigel Farage turned up, they're calling him Mr. Mirage instead of Farage. And anywhere but Clacton circulated online. He has not done a single constituency surgery since he was elected 2 years ago. Not a single one in Clacton. Citing security concerns. In fact, when Question Time was in Clacton earlier this year, he wasn't there. It's the only time he's not turned up on Question Time, and it was when it was being held in his constituency. That's how much he hates the place. Can't find it on a map. He's got his property in Clacton, which was purchased by his girlfriend Laurie Ferrari. Is she some relation to Nick Ferrari? Privately educated. Apparently, she worked as a waitress, and if you work as a waitress, you can buy a house for £885,000 cash. Yeah. And didn't have to pay stamp duty because it was her first house. Isn't that nice? Earning that kind of money on a waitress's wage. Waitress wage. Why aren't these fuckers all in jail? Why aren't they all in jail? Can we clear out the non-offensive drug users, the people who have not committed a physical offence, non-violent? I say non-violent drug offenders. Can we get them all out of jail? And we can put all these toffs in there, please. And we can make it as horrible as possible. Just make it really fucking grim for them, please. And Farage has, denied avoiding stamp duty on this £885,000 house in which he lives when he's in Clacton. And a point to make here is that when Angela Rayner was done for not paying stamp duty on a house that she bought for her son who has learning difficulties, she wasn't living there. It wasn't a house for her to live in. This is a house for Farage to live in. He also owns other properties. He's got a beachfront property in Kent, in which he's just spent over £800,000 on renovations. He's also gone out and bought a £1.4 million house with the money that he got off Christopher Harborne. By now, has given £30 million to Refug, which is more money in the last couple of years than all the other parties have put together. From one person. Zia Yusuf, former co-workers and employees have said some revealing things about how horrible he is to work with. Well, he looks it, and he's also privately educated, so there you go. I saw them put in full fibre down our road about 3 years ago. The online checker says we have it, but we can't have it, but 2 doors away can. The database is messed up. Yeah. That reminds me, full fibre has been installed in my area, and the block of flats I've been living in isn't connected to the full fibre network. Yeah. Gives a job, classic. Yozza Hughes, my great uncle Yozza. I helped Brian Cohen this month because he's on the list. That's cool, Greg. And this says she was working as a waitress in a cocktail bar. That much is true. Oh, don't you want me? When Salman Rushdie wrote his book, The Satanic Verses, he got a death threat as a result. He personally contributed to the cost of his police security. Yet Farage can't do likewise. Yep. Farage has initially said about the lack of face-to-face surgeries, or he said security concern. That's his go-to, security. Everyone's out to throw milkshakes at me, and he stated he had received. Well, he lied because he's a lying piece of shit. Because that's all Nigel Farage does is he fucking lies to you. Stop believing his shit, man. He stated that he had received advice not to hold face-to-face surgery because it was too dangerous. The Speaker's office later confirmed that it had no record of issuing such advice. Parliamentary security officials said reportedly they had no recollection of giving that instruction, and Farage announced alternative arrangement for constituent contact. Farage has made multiple trips to the US after becoming an MP. He attended events connected to Donald Trump, obviously, in Republican politics, CPAC and all that shite. Critics have cited the trips of evidence of him neglecting his constituency duties. And Farage has argued that international political engagement is part of his role. No, it's not. You're not part of the official opposition. You're not the leader of the official opposition. You're some little tin pot fucking outfit that has been given loads of money. A gold-plated tin pot outfit. That's what you are. Given loads of money by some fucking little sketchy weirdo. Little posh sketchy weirdo who lives in fucking Thailand. Who likes to play Russian laundrette. And then, during this low profile period, Farage released a video last week calling for pure cold rage after the Henry Novak murder, and after the father of Henry Novak had specifically said, please don't use this for political ends. Richard Tice rejected suggestions that the language contributed to the subsequent unrest. Of course, I'd say that. But over in Belfast, we've seen the last 2 nights, we've seen attacks on homes, businesses, vehicles, public transport. 27 people were made homeless during the violence on Tuesday night, and Stephen Ogilvy's family, who was the victim of this horrific knife attack, have publicly called for calm and rejected disorder carried out in his name. Meanwhile, Elon Musk is busy amplifying content related to Belfast unrest on his platform, on Twitter. Toby Robinson also promoted protest-related content, riot-related content. And they've been accused of inflaming tensions. Do you think? But here's the joke: Ofcom, which is run by cracker wankers like that went to private school with all the posh twats, the top of Ofsted, the top of Ofcom, the top of Ofwat. They all went to school with the people who now run the companies that they're supposed to patrol. The head of the Equalities and Human Rights Commission is a fucking turf. It's a disgusting, just a terrible, terrible human being who thinks that trans people shouldn't have any say in everyday life because this is the way it works. Baroness Kirchner, I think she's on my private school fucking list, the previous leader of the Equalities and Human Rights Commission. And Ofcom has reminded the platforms of its obligations under the Online Safety Act. Can I just remind you that Ofcom complaints against GB News, Gammon Box News, owned by major stakeholder, which is a guy called Fucker Marshall, who's the father of the banjo player from Mumford and Sons. And Fucker Marshall is I think he's a tax exile as well, privately educated, of course. And I think he lives in Dubai. He's one of them, They spend money telling everyone. He'll write on his little things, his little Paul Marshall fucking blog. He'll write, "Oh, I'm not happy. I'm not happy about all these Muslims coming to the UK and making Sharia law and halal and Sharia law. There's making all that, and they want to have little speakers at the top of towers that wake you up at 5 o'clock in the morning with the call to prayer." And you're like, you live in Dubai, you twat. That's exactly what it's like there. That is exactly what. And don't forget, Dubai is like a billionaire's fucking playground. It's set up for these ultra wealthy from other countries, but it's 90%. That's 95%, I think. Foreigners. It's 95% people from other countries. But the Emiratis, how do they feel about it? I don't know. No one's ever asked them. They're not allowed to vote. There's no democracy there. But that's what the rich like. They just want a playground where they don't have to worry about paying tax or doing anything except having sex and doing blow and getting blown and, I don't know, going to a fucking shopping mall, whatever it is the rich like to do. Buying a fucking handbag. I'm going to buy a handbag, darling. Oh my God, you're going to buy an expensive watch. Oh my God, it's going to tell the time. Yeah, I hope so. I don't really care. I don't really going to set it. I'm just going to have it on my wrist to show everyone what a rich twat I am. I've got loads of money. Look at me. I've got loads of money, everyone. Yeah. But yeah, planned changes to the Online Safety Act are not expected to take effect until at least mid-July. And this is one of the major issues that we have with the current Labour Party is they're just too fucking slow. It's like they're too nice. Do you know what I mean? It's like, hit me again. Go on, hit me again. Go on. I know you want to. Go on, give me a good kicking. Go on, just stab me a few times. It's all right. Now you can take it. That's what the left are like when they're in power. Oh, we don't want to upset the apple cart. Or we need to go by the rules. The other people aren't abiding by the rules. And if there is a rule, they'll find a way around it like that. So go after them. Go after them with everything you've got now. But we'll give 12 warnings. This is what fucking GB News. Is it 12 or is it 15 warnings now? 15 upheld warnings against Gammon Box News. And if there is ever a fine for these motherfuckers, like I've already explained, it's paid for by the insurance company. The loopholes are really fucking obvious. They're really fucking obvious. And we need to have a complete overhaul of this. I don't just want the CEOs of water companies that pump shit into our waters and make kids go blind from the fucking toxic waters that run through this land. I don't just want them to go. I want them all to go to jail. If you make a car and it turns out that your car fucking kills people and you knew there was a fault with it and you didn't make the recall because you realized that it would be cheaper to pay the compensation than to do the recall, your CEO should go to jail for the rest of his or her fucking natural life. That is it. End of. That's the rule. You're the captain. Take control of the ship. People die on the ship. It's your fucking fault. You run aground. You hit the rocks. It's your fucking fault. You're the fucking captain. Now, we'll make the insurance companies pay a fine. That'll show them. We'll give them a £20,000 fine for causing £2 billion worth of damage. That'll show them. Yeah. And then you got Musk, getting away with it, getting away with putting let's go riot on his shitter fucking network. And then you've got Trump, absolutely above the law, absolutely 100% above the law. The law does not affect him in any way, shape, or form. He was found guilty of 34 felony counts. Did he spend the day behind bars? Did he? Fuck. Did he have to pay a big fine? Not really. No. The insurance company probably paid it. He's now reached a settlement with the IRS that he's in charge of over his tax records, and apparently the IRS are not allowed to investigate him or his family for the rest of time throughout the universe in perpetuity. Forever. They're not allowed to. They're not allowed to give out any information. And yeah, the IRS policy since 1977 has been to automatically audit presidents and vice presidents, and now he's got rid of that. It'll be for the next president. They'll have to be audited, but he won't. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, took ages to get a private square to get fiber now wired by both Virgin and OpenReach. I reckon we should also fine and imprison the majority shareholders in the water companies as well. Yeah? Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Get those fuckers as well. And let their money be redistributed. You know, you had the Proceeds of Crime Act that came in. God, that must have been under the last Labour government, maybe, where it was like if you're a drug dealer and you had a big fucking massive, £1 million McMansion, and well, it'd be more than $1 million now, wouldn't it? And you went to jail for like 6 years for like, I don't know, clubbing someone's head in, and then you get out and you get to keep your mansion. So they're like, oh, that's not really fair. So they started this thing, the Proceeds of Crime Act, where they wanted to take the stuff that to say, oh, this has come from crime, so we're going to take it off you, right? Can we do that for the execs? Can we do that for these companies that have evaded tax for all this time? And can we close the loopholes? Here's another loophole I want closing. Stop allowing billionaires to borrow their money that they live on from banks. Stop it, because it's tax free, and then they pay off that loan through their company. Go straight into paying off the loan. So that person gets 10 million, 10 billion, whatever it is they want off the bank. Farage has done this. Trump has done this. Musk has done this. They live off money that they borrow from the bank because they know that get paid off, and they don't have to pay any. You don't have to pay. You can get £2 million off your bank, and you don't have to pay any tax on that whatsoever. And then you can avoid paying the tax on your earnings by not earning anything. So that gobshite who owns Amazon, that Larry, no, not Larry, he's the other guy, isn't he? Larry, that's not a real person's name. Jeff Bezos, Jeff the meth. He's there, right? Going, oh, look at me. I'm only earning. He reckons he only earns like something like £70,000 a year, $70,000. He's on so little money that he gets tax credits in America. When actually he's just borrowing billions from the bank and not having to pay any income tax on it. You have to. And here's what I'd like to see, right? I want there to be absolute, if you avoid tax, not just evade, but avoid tax, then the law should come down on you like a ton of bricks. If you're paid someone to minimize the amount of tax you've got to pay, like Richard Tice has on many separate occasions, but the ones we know of more recently is absolutely abhorrent. He had this company that he had set up in such a way that it was supposed to be like a startup, like a transition company. And as part of that, it had to have other shareholders other than Tice. That was the rule. But you had a 2-year gap. You had a 2-year window to get the company up and running. And then at that point, you could take them. You had to have someone else who had been an investor, who was a named shareholder of the company. And on the day before, so 1 year, 364 days later, he wound up his company. The day before this rule kicked in, so he could just take all the money out of it and run. Now, look, we know what all these scams are. We see them all the time. We talked about the Starbucks scam, where they set themselves up in Bermuda and they say, well, however much money they make that Starbucks makes in the UK, so it makes, let's say £2 billion a year in the UK. That's how much this company in Bermuda, where there is no corporation tax, charges the Starbucks in the UK for using their logo. The exact amount, down to the penny. That's how much you charge. Sorry, so we haven't made any money in this country. We've made zero money in this country because we had to pay $2 billion to this place in Bermuda, the Starbucks HQ. We had to pay it off there. So if you try and attempt to do that, no, you're out. I'm sorry, fuck off. Stop it, right? Why are we rewarding people Why are we rewarding people for evading tax, for avoiding tax? They go, oh, it's not illegal, it's avoiding tax. It's only illegal if you're evading. No, avoiding is evading. It's not paying your fair share and finding clever legal ways, legal loopholes to wiggle through so you don't have to pay your fair share of tax. Fuck that shit. And I want capital gains tax to go up to 40%, same as probably even more than that. Have it on an escalator like we used to with income tax. Income tax used to go up to 98%. 98% if you're earning fucking Brewsters, above a certain level, you'd have to pay 98% tax. Wasn't worth it. But here's what I would do as well, right? Capital gains. So if your investment gives major dividends, right, and you make loads of money out of it, right? 40%, 50%, whatever you want to do, right? Get it in line with income tax. Except, you like your loopholes? Yeah? Do you? Rich person, you like your fucking loopholes? Here's the loophole that I will give you. If you invest in people in this country, no capital gains tax. That's it. You invest in property? Yep, capital gains tax. You invest in companies? Yep, capital gains tax. You invest in people, artists, creatives, perhaps someone who's starting a business, but you invest in them. That's the important difference here, okay? I'm not saying they should invest in, if you invest in old books or you invest in collectible baseball cards or whatever, yeah, capital gains tax up the kazoo. But if you invest in people, all that money, tax-free, that you make back off them. Think about that for a moment. Think about a pop star who is, patronized, gets the patronage of someone who's very rich, says, right, I'll give you the money to get going in your pop career. And then they make a fuckload of money. And then they give some of that money to the person who invested in them, because that's the deal. And then you get £1 million tax-free. Would you like that? Would you like that? Meanwhile, the person who can sing and dance or do whatever is now playing, 14 dates at Wembley Stadium, like Harry Styles, and generating 1.3 billion for the economy. People. Invest in people, then you can have your fucking little tax break, you twat. But if you invest in property, this fucking black hole that we're throwing all our money into in this country. I got some money. Oh, what are you going to invest it in? Well, I was going to spend it on the GGs, but I think I'll just buy a house because it's going to be worth twice as much in a few years' time. We need to look at taxing revenue instead of profit. Yeah. Oil exploration is tax scams. Yeah. Brings a whole new meaning to drinking the Kool-Aid. Speaking of Trump, his other useless son, Barron, has launched a brand of energy drink, Solos, going for $39 up for a pack of 12, learning the grift at the feet of his master. Yeah. Andrew says, on the BBC Rise of the Nazi last night, German oligarchs paid the Kaiser to make Hitler chancellor, so similar to Farage and his entourage. They didn't pay the Kaiser, they paid the president, Hindenburg. Kaiser Wilhelm, they'd yeasted him out the window by then, hadn't they? The Weimar Republic didn't have a Kaiser. But yes, they basically it was all grift. It was all a fucking massive grift. And then the Hindenburg, it's a good name for an airship, that. The rich invest in power manipulation via paid lobbyists. Yes, they do. Profit shifting and corp so that pay workers so shit they need welfare. Yes, that is true. Daylight M. This is a very famous example of this happens all over this country where people are paid too little to live on, and so their rent has to be subsidized by the government, and the rent is going to a private landlord, and they're working for a private company that isn't paying them enough to live on. You see this in America at Walmart. In America, the people who work at Walmart, nearly every single person who works at Walmart, except for the Walton family who own it, have to get on food stamps. They have to get on some kind of welfare benefit from the government because they're not paid enough by the company. Absolutely fucking disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. Breaking news on the BBC. I wish they'll stop saying breaking news when it's something that, okay, they're doing a story about hospitals and there's lots of people in that, who don't have a hospital bed. And that's a bit shit. Yeah, it is. It is genuinely a bit shit. But do they need the big breaking news banner like there's been a fucking earthquake or a meteorite hit the fucking planet or something? Or it's the big beautiful day. Can't wait. Anyway, so yes. Anyway, profit shifting and cause pay workers. Airships were cool. They weren't Gallifreyan Rent. They were very hot, especially when they were on fire. People were running away from them. On fire. Very, very hot indeed. Not cool at all. Chris says, I walked past... Oh, hydrogen. Nice bit of hydrogen there. I see hydrogen in that big blimp there. Ooh. Hope that doesn't go on fire. I walked past a recruitment agency the other day. JCB are advertising for staff to work 12-hour night shifts for minimum wage. There used to be a time you could get premium for working nights. Yeah, used to be a time you got premium for working overtime, nights, and Sundays. Just get time and a half on a Sunday. All this, Doctor Who has been cancelled. It never ends. Well, Doctor Who hasn't been cancelled. It'll never be fully cancelled. Even when it was cancelled in 1989, it wasn't really cancelled. It's like James Bond. It's never going to be really cancelled. It'll come back at some point. It's not going to be Bad Wolf Productions. It's not going to be Russell T Davies. It's not going to be Ncuti Gatwa, but it'll come back. I mean, it's such great IP. You know, he's a cunt. Look, Sloth from the Goonies. Look, it's Sloth from the Goonies on the... I love this movie. Hey, you guys! How you doing, Sloth? What's he talking about today? He didn't even know the name of the Somalian referee who's been kicked out of America. I turned back. He didn't even fucking know his name. Sloth over there. You all right, mate? Roof, baby Roof? Yeah. Fucking gobshite. He's such a twat. You thought Seb Blatter was the worst of it, and it's like, no. Into the void. Into the gaping, yawning void. Left by Seb Blatter, the most corrupt leader of FIFA in history, comes fucking Infantino, the even more corrupt fucking sloth-looking motherfucker. Lord Bamford, who owns JCB, is a Brexiter. Yeah, he absolutely is a huge funder of the Tory party as well. And he went to private school. Are you spotting the pattern? Do you reckon anyone who went to private school still watches this channel? Do you reckon they're too offended now? They're like, oh, you're always going about private school, Graham. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know. If you want to fix this country, you're going to have to fix the private school problem. You keep ignoring it, it's just going to get worse. It's like fixing the fucking housing problem. You know what the tax should be on a second house? 100%. That's it. You can have a second house, but when you come and sell it, you got to give all the money to the government. All the profit that you make off owning a house has to go to the government. Anyway, Airships was cool. Didn't we used to have Switch and Solo card schemes in the UK and Europe? Yes, we did, and then we got rid of them, and now it's all MasterCard and Visa. And we need to change that because it gives them way too much power over us, and I don't like that. Talking power over us, here's the Daily Mail. Phone kill switch to end trade in stolen mobiles after Daily Mail campaign. Yeah, because you've been all over that, haven't you? Apple agrees to major change to render handsets worthless to thieves. We've got a World Cup pullout. Someone's pulled out of the World Cup, probably because they weren't allowed in the country. And then we've got fried rice. England stars burn before the downpour. So there was a friendly last night between England and Costa Rica in the round ball competition. It was a friendly. It wasn't part of the tournament, just a friendly to get your engines running. And England won 3-1. 3-0 against Costa Rica. In Florida, was it Florida? I don't know, wherever the fuck it was, right? Wherever they were having this friendly. They had to postpone it for an hour because of an actual torrential downpour that happened. I really hope that happens in, where's that shitty place in America? Oh, it's all of it. Washington, D.C. I hope that happens in Washington, D.C. I really hope that happens. That'd be fucking boss. Okay, so here we go. On my head, sun. Red hot 3 Lions. England plays sunburnt in official World Cup picks. And then we've got someone going on Strictly Come Dancing. My World Cup tips. But for some reason, the graphics there, the TI, and then that's taken out, and so it's PS. Caitlin Moran's guide, and the colour's gone wrong there. The colour's gone... Who signed off on that? I think it's someone's job to make sure that doesn't happen. Like, I just looked at that, and that's the first thing I saw. Isn't there somebody supposed to look at the front cover of a newspaper and go, that's wrong? Daily Mail, I have some bad news. It's always been possible to turn a phone into a paperweight. You don't need a kill switch, as the networks can do it and disable stolen phones. Well, can they, though? They get shipped off to China, don't they? And they recycle the parts. Sorry. I shouldn't be eating while I'm doing this, but I'm hungry. And I've got some tropical mix. So I'm just going to eat some coconut. I don't care. Here, look at the papers. Single migrant sent back after crossing Irish border. Okay. Starmer will not rule out higher taxes for defence. Okay. Food bills trimmed. Weight loss jabs have cut an estimated £780 million from Britain's grocery bills. Wow. Hinkley's fish danger. Hinkley Point C nuclear plant, which has spent £700 million to offset fears about wildlife, is facing further delays after Quango said it still posed a danger to fish. Use the language there. Let's have a look at that. Let's drill down into that for a moment. So what does a nuclear power plant need lots of? That's right, water. Well done. So we need some water. And so we're going to take it out of the sea. Or we take it out of rivers, whatever we take it out of. But the problem is with water, it has fouling in it. Fouling? Is that what it's called? That's what it's called on the bottom of a boat. But whatever. Let's call them fish. It has fish in the sea, apparently. Fish in rivers. Not already fish are alive in our rivers anymore. And you know what you don't want in your nuclear reactor? Fish. So you have to have like fish filters. And so what they set up is like, they've called it a fish disco, which is a bit disingenuous because it's not really a disco. It's a noise that will keep them away. So it's not really somewhere that the fish go and dance. But essentially, it's like a warning siren to tell them not to go, to tell the fish not to go too close to this intake valve because they don't want to get sucked in to the nuclear reactor. Well, I know it's not the actual reactor that they're in. Don't at me about the actual technical bits of a nuclear reactor. Yes, I understand that it's a separate part that keeps it cool, but you need that cooling water to keep it from, getting too hot. George Laws only, £2 super chat. I went to private school, 10 to 14, and then comp. Oh my god. Okay, well, thank you very much for the super chat, George. And you're. I mean, some of my friends went to private school. Alex Kerr went to private school. Femi Olawale went to private school. So some of you are all right. But going from a private school to a comp, that must have been a not fun, I guess, when you were 14. I couldn't imagine that being fun, mate. Sorry. And I really wish I hadn't. What, gone to the private school or gone to the comp? Or gone to the private school first and then the comp? Would have been better the other way around. Water, hence why it was built by the River Sea. They have a massive intake, so there's several protections to prevent fish and other debris from entering the condensation cooling circuit. There you go. What I'm talking about. But, they'll talk about fish discos or whatever. Ew. Yes, indeed. German oligarchs paid the Kaiser. I've read that one. I walked past the recruitment agency the other day. I've read that one. I read that one as well. Yeah, Lord Bamford flies to work on his private fucking helicopter. Yep. Can you believe you don't have to pay fuel duty on private jet fuel? You don't have to pay fuel duty on private jet fuel. You have to. You go to the filling station, go to the petrol station. You got to pay a fucking charge on that. Fill up your Fiesta. Well, if you're filling up your private jet, you're laughing. Okay. Yes, we Kansas. 3 Lions Mania has hit Kansas City, which I don't think is in Kansas. As ever, the biggest ever World Cup kicks off tonight. Okay. Exterminated. BBC drops plans for Doctor Who Christmas special. He'll be back, don't worry. Water cannon deployed on second night of unrest in Northern Ireland. Care workers trapped by a mob and rescued by their pastor. For 4 hours on Tuesday night, 2 Ugandan care workers were barricaded into their home near Crumlin Road, North Belfast. Doubts over peace talks as US and Iran trade fire. So Trump's foray into foreign hostilities, going so far as to bombing Iran has not yielded the big win that he thought that he was going to get. Oh dear, how sad. Never mind. And then dropped. Stokes left out a second test after incident in nightclub. Ooh. There you go. Against New Zealand. Their second test tickle. We've got Oliver Dean here, new darling of British fashion. We've got how the BBC exterminated Doctor Who. Well, it's not really been exterminated. It's just they're not going to make it. I'm sure he'll come back. It's a very, very, very profitable thing for the BBC to make is Doctor Who. Also, the water that is discharged back into the sea is not radioactive as it's not come into contact with the nuclear fuel. This is part of the condenser cooling circuit only. Yes. That is very true. George wishes he hadn't gotten to private school. Okay, good, George. So you can join me in my crusade to burn them all down. And we will let the children out. Maybe. If we're feeling nice. Going to a prep school, boarding school, that is, really fucked me up. Yeah, I'm sorry, George. I'm sorry. And this is why it's two sides to this, isn't it? It's the damaged people that come out of these schools and the fact that they are born into an elite circle that we as staties can never ever hope to break into in our lives. And someone asked me yesterday why I was writing Top of the World 16 years later, and I'm like, well, because I wrote that book and I couldn't get a publisher in this country. I couldn't get anyone interested in this country because I'm just not posh enough and I don't know the right people, pretty much. And it's just it would have to be a passion project, and I know I'm not going to make any money out of it whatsoever, but I'd hate to be, something to go tits up and, me be incapacitated or worse. And I haven't finished those final books. Do ghosts ever come back to the dead to finish a book? Do they fuck? Stupid ghosts. Useless they are. They just stand around going, before the advent of photography, ghosts didn't look like ghosts. The idea of a ghost being like a white, spectral image at the end of the bed going, whoa, that only came about after the advent of photography because obviously if a photographic plate was exposed to light before it was processed, you would get these weird effects. If you double exposed a negative, you get these weird effects on there, and that's what people start. These ghostly images, they only arrived after the technology of photography came along. Before then, if a ghost turned up, they just looked like you and me. They weren't like all glowing and white. That's a thing that came with photography. They were literally just and it's like there's no UFOs seen before planes. No one saw a UFO before the Wright brothers flew there. What was it called? Flyer One and Kitty Hawk, or Kitty Hawk and Flyer One, whatever it was called. They before then, no, not a single. It just wasn't a thing. It just wasn't a thing that people thought of or saw. There's a flying saucer in the sky. Well, what? And now people see them all the time. In fact, there's a refuck councillor over in where is it? Where's this godforsaken council in I want to say Burnley or somewhere, who's sitting there going, oh, we got to. What about all the UFOs? Hey, what about the UFOs? We need to set up a national UFO hotline for people who see things in the sky. I need to tell someone there's a thing in the sky. Is it doing any harm? No. It's funny that, isn't it? So yeah, up till the advent of photography, when people in literacy, so literature, or in Shakespeare's plays talked about a ghost, they would literally just come on the stage as the person that they were. They didn't glow. They weren't necessarily white. But there you go. They were dead. Maybe they painted them a little bit pale to show that they were not alive. They'll think of a ghost more like we'll think of a zombie now. Do you know what I mean? Like a dead person come back to go. Whoa! But yeah, you go. Anyway, so I think the writing stream I missed today. My brain is sludgy and I'm feeling drained. Oh, okay, Gallifreyan. I'm going to be cracking on with that at 1 o'clock today. I'm quite excited about it. I did a little bit more writing last night. And I was planning to get up early this morning and do some stuff on it, but I realised I sort of wake up at 7 in the morning and I spend about an hour looking at what's going on in the news and reading up all like the latest headlines and stuff, and then trying to decide what the fuck I'm going to talk about on this show. And then it's like, oh, I've got time to do something else. I've got time to write a bit more of my book. I've got time to play a bit of Super Mario Kart on me Switch too. No, I'll do my show. The thing about the extremely rich people is they don't care about losing money. No serious investor would have bought Twitter. Only Musk could treat it like a personal toy to indulge his sick side. Yeah. Lost leaders, mate. Lost leaders. Paul Gobshite from Mumford & Sons, the dad of Mumford & Sons. He loses, what, 50 million a year on GB News? They don't care. They don't give a fuck. All the newspapers lose money. They're just users, it's worth it for them because what they spend on that, they save in taxes that they don't have to pay. Yes, the water used within a nuclear power plant, whether it is the primary circuit, secondary circuits, or condenser circuit, is cleaner than normal tap water. There you go. A power station takes water from a river. I suppose they have to clean the sewage out of it before they can use it now. Yeah. Well, they have to. I mean, that water, I assume, is very, very pure. Like purer than, when we say pure than tap water, it's, there's minerals in tap water, which makes the water more healthy to drink. There's calcium in there and stuff like that. You've got to get rid of all of that. So you get like, deionized water. Is that what it's called? The stuff that you put in batteries. When you put water in your batteries. Do you remember them? Do you remember when you used to put water in your car battery? Do you remember that? To keep your water topped up in your battery. Do you remember doing that? And you had to use like deionized water. You had to buy a liter of deionized water from Halfords to put in your battery. Do you remember that? Great days. Do you remember you had to keep up your oil and water? You had to check your oil and water, not the water in the battery. Well, you had to check your water in your battery now and again, but you had to check your water levels, and you had to get like a rag, and you had to dip your dipstick and pull it out, and you'd look at it, see where it was on the little line there. There's a couple of lines. Oh yeah, okay. Fucking them with the days, eh? Grubby, everything's grubby. Get the Swarfiga out. Do you know what? I'll tell you who's fighting the hardest, I reckon, against electric cars. The makers of Swarfiga. Because you're never going to need that again, are you? Did anyone ever use Swarfiga Orange? There's a deep cut for you. There was a version of Swarfiga. So there was the green stuff that always seemed to remind me of the Incredible Hulk for something. And that would be good for getting your general grime off your hands. Don't forget, I worked in a garage when I was a kid. But then there was like a yellow version of Swarfiga that had like bits in it, like bits of grit. Oh, that stuff was great. That would get anything off your skin. I mean, it fucked your skin, but get anything off there. And we're just going to get rid of this person. Report. Report. Okay. Hide user on my channel. Yeah, go on, fuck off. Right. So I've just reported them for what they wrote. I remember that, Graham. Yay, good. I'm glad someone remembers that stuff. I still do that in my car. Dipstick. Good. It's a good insult, that, you dipstick, isn't it? Not you. I'm not calling you a dipstick, my friend. I'll never do that. But yeah, shut up, you dipstick. Do you want to Toxic Avengers? Because that's how you get Toxic Avengers. Did I just see that message right? Yeah, I got rid of it. Don't worry, it's gone. I reported it, actually. I didn't just get rid of it. I reported it, but I think Diz was on it as well. George only. I wouldn't know which is a better or worse way around, but I know that for a lot of kids, if they do well in primary and maybe middle school or pass a common entrance, then you go. I use deionized water for cleaning records. Ooh, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, it's really, really, really clean water. If you drink it, and obviously you can drink it if you want to, it's not going to kill you. But it doesn't. It's weird because it's water, but it kind of doesn't taste of water. But it's like plasticky, but it's not. It's just a weird thing. Dear said I reported it too. Good. That person is reported. to Google, as that was a rather concerning message to type. Yeah, I reported it. Me and Diz reported it apparently, so hopefully they'll get 2 reports. That's never happened before. And over, what was it, 2,500 live streams I've done on here. How many live streams have I done on this channel? Does anyone know? I'm gonna look it up. What's this platform called? YouTube. It's okay. I'll get to the papers in a minute. Just hold your horses. Doctor Who cancelled. Oh God, everyone's freaking out about Doctor Who being cancelled. Channel dashboard. Mike in the hot. Did anyone watch Mike in the hot seat last night? That was a good episode. By the way, I'm going to be putting some of my old music videos and short films and little travel things that I've done in the past that are going to be going up on this channel over the next few days, weeks, months, as and when I find them on my old hard drives and upload them and make a thumbnail for them. Live videos we've done on this channel. About 2,460. Take that, The Simpsons. What was the nature of the reporter message? You don't want to know. Graham, are you perhaps under a particular focus for disruption? You are politically minded and being put on a so-called whitelist for special spam bots. And no, I don't think so. I mean, we get hardly any fucking spam on here. We hardly get any fucking. Do you know what it is? Whenever there's an election, the day before the election or the day of the election, we get some spam bots turn up, go vote reform, vote reform, vote reform. But otherwise, no, we don't really get stuff like that on this channel. I mean, it's too small. But what's really cool about this channel is it kind of flies under the radar. So we don't have a big enough following to get loads of people spamming it to shit. But yeah, it's just about the right size. Well, I could do it to be a little bit bigger. As the actress says to the bishop. Ivan, thank you very much for the £20 super chat. Who watched the debate? Key points of my evidence were mentioned. However, I'm appalled by the lack of publicity by the press and media on the debate. No wonder there is such a lack of public understanding on autism. So this was in the House of Lords yesterday. Ivan's part of Ivan's movement for helping people who are autistic. Yeah, there was a debate yesterday afternoon, and if you don't mind, Ivan, I can share that with the group here. You need to go to Parliament TV, to the House of Lords on there. I've got a link for you. House of Lords debate. There you go, mate. And then you need to go to 2.5 hours in. 2.5 hours in. It's the House of Lords debate on the Autism Act. And what was mentioned was the urgent need for a government campaign to improve public understanding of autism, address the urgent need to provide adult autism community support services, and to increase and scale up mandatory training on autism in public-facing roles. So, I'm sorry it didn't get as much publicity as would have been good, Ivan. It's just I think the people in charge don't care about that kind of thing, unfortunately. They care about just stoking division in society rather than actually helping minorities. But well done. Big kudos to Ivan, everyone in the chat. Big kudos for Ivan for having a putting stuff into this order paper. The order paper of what they were talking about. So yeah, that's really fantastic stuff. The Autism Act, Ivan contributed to. So that's really cool. So yeah, in fact, this is for you. Good stuff. Good stuff. But it just goes to show, and I keep saying this: one person can make a difference. If you've got a cause and you really push it, yeah, and keep going. Don't take no for an answer. You can move mountains. You really can. Okay, so funniest thing yesterday I saw was Lee Anderson and Sarah Puchin's faces when Hannah said there was scum behind it. Yeah, that was really fun, Sarah. I enjoyed that. Yeah, loads of love coming in for Ivan. Thanks for the confetti. Thanks for doing that, mate. Thanks on behalf of everyone who's either autistic or has someone who they know and love who's autistic, who's, had to go through all this shit, and without the support network in place by the government, by the local authority to help people out who are struggling. Okay, so we're going to go back to the papers now. We've got some root beer there. We've got Miliband defies Starmer on spending cuts. Ed Miliband is resisting pressure from Sir Keir Starmer to cut spending on his department amid a cabinet row about how to fund defence. And then we've got smugglers guarantee UK entry via Ireland. Belfast knife attack draws attention to backdoor migrant route with no ID checks. This is what some twat from the DUP stood up yesterday and said. They want to bring a hard border onto the island of Ireland, which goes against the Good Friday Agreement. And the Trojan horse they're going to use to do this is by saying, well, anyone can fly into Dublin and then they can just take the bus up to Belfast and then they're in Belfast. And then they go and stab someone. Yeah, that thing that hardly ever fucking happens. But the reality is that if you are a tourist and you fly into Heathrow and then you trundle up to Liverpool and jump on the boat to Dublin, you're not going to get your passport checked. How is that not a backdoor for the Irish? The real Irish. The real Irish. Just like not the people who demand that they are British even though they live in Ireland. I mean, look, it's fine. It's cool. I don't mind if there's people in Gibraltar, or there's people in the British Virgin Islands, or there's people in Bermuda, or there's people in Turks and Caicos, or the Cayman Islands, or Gibraltar, and they want to be ruled over, or Tristan and, the St. Helena, or Ascension Island, or wherever the fuck, right, who want to be ruled by Britain. Cool, okay, cool. But you know what? If you're third generation Falkland Islander, you're a Falkland Islander. You're not British. You may be ruled over by the British. You may be part of the British vestiges of whatever the British Empire is. But you're not really British. You're a Falkland Islander, and that is a place that is looked after in case someone else wants to invade by Britain. But Great Britain's an island that I live on. I live on this island. It's called Great Britain. And that makes me British. These people who have lived in Ireland for 400 years, well, they're not that old. I mean, their families have. And they go, I'm British. And I'm like, you don't sound British. I'm not being funny, mate, but are you? Are you? I mean, it's fine if you want to be subservient to rule from Westminster. That's cool, whatever, whatever floats your goat. But are you British? Are you? I told you about the stupidest woman I ever met. I was in a bar in Chile. God, when was it? This must have been like 25 years ago. And I was in a bar in Chile and I got chatting to a British, an Irish woman. And she came out with the daftest shit I've ever heard. First of all, she said that she was British. And I was like, well, you're not, are you? She's like, what? No, I'm British. I said, well, you might be a UK citizen, but, to be British, you should really be born in Britain and have a British accent, I guess. Maybe a generation down the line, you could say that you were born there and you adopted the customs and the accents. Then yeah, maybe you can say you're British. I don't know. I don't want to be racist about it, but I just think that you were born on the island of Ireland. She's like, no, I'm British. I said, well, get your passport out. She got a passport out. She had a British passport, and I said, look at the passport. It says United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. That's what it says on the front of our friendly passports. I've got too many passports. When you got too many passports, it's a bloody nightmare, isn't it? That's what it says there. It says United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. You see, I said, look, there's Britain, there's Ireland. You see two different things. That's why there's an and there. There's an and. You need the and, otherwise it wouldn't make sense. Anyway, she didn't like that. And then she told me that that Northern Ireland's a great place because there's no racism there. And the reason why there's no racism is because there's no black people. Okay. Don't know what they're teaching in these unionist schools in Northern Ireland. But I was like, okay. All right. And then And then, because I was like, well, the history of the place, blah, blah, blah. I said, I still think it's terrible. This is after the Good Friday Agreement, obviously. I still think it's a bit shit that kids are segregated into different schools depending on whether they're Catholic or Protestant, or whether their parents are Catholic or Protestant. You still got the peace walls up, and, it is a very segregated society in Belfast in particular. And she goes, well, I'm a unionist. I'm a Protestant, but I do have a little bit of sympathy for the Catholics, because do you know what Queen Victoria said during the potato famine? And I went, oh no, what did she say? She said, "Let them eat cake." Okay, right, cool. When someone's like absolutely telling you that this definitely fucking happened, and I was like, oh my god, okay. I might have to walk away from this one. I can't even. So she said, "Let them eat cake," and that's why that's why the historically put upon Catholic population of Northern Ireland was so upset years later. Anyway, A&E receptionist to be placed by self-check-in on iPads. Okay. And then we've got Gen Z, wait until they are 35 to start a family. Yeah. Husband dies after you made it too expensive to start a family before then. You got to earn like loads and loads of money. You got to earn years worth of money to start a family. Of course, that's going to be the case. Husband dies after Valentine's Day cheese. Okay. An artist died after eating a listeria-infected cheese given to him by his wife for Valentine's Day. Oh God! Oh my God! A Valentine's Day box of chocolate, box of cheese. Oh my God! Don't eat off cheese. Trump prepares to strike very hard on Iran. This is what he said yesterday. Data center threatens Heathrow runway. Talking about the war in Iran. Trump. There was a targeted attack by Trump on the on a water was it a desalination plant that provides water to 100,000 people in Iran, and they blew it up overnight. And if that's not targeting civilian infrastructure, I mean fucking water, I don't know what it is. That sounds like a war crime to me. Harry Flashman says, "Is it not Generation Z?" No, it's actually Generation Zod, as in General Zod from Superman 2. I like your shining red light. It reminds me of the red light of the son of Krypton. Give it to me. So black people import racism, do they? She had that one well thought out, didn't she? Yeah. Well, there weren't any racists because there was no black people to be racist at. This is the most sectarian city in the world. It's like, yeah, people aren't racist. Isn't that classified as a war crime under international law? Yes, Chrissy, it absolutely is a war crime. A bit like targeted bombing of a children's school, which killed 150 little girls. Lest we forget, Gaza had a bunch of water things. The IDF was a bit feisty, but the Irish Defence Forces. The Irish Defence Force. I think it's the Israeli Defence Force. But yes. Hey, did anyone see that report by Kaylin Robinson yesterday about there's a aluminium factory in Ireland that's being used to produce the materials for aluminium and other metals, I guess. That's sending out 17 ships a month or something to St. Petersburg. Yeah, I think something might come of that. If you ever get stuck in a space prison, I'd love to be in a space mirror flipping around the universe. Well, you know what? I don't think they thought that through, did they, Paulie Donkey? I don't think they thought that through because they were like, right, that's it. We got these criminals, Zod and his friends. We're gonna exile you to the Phantom Zone. And they were like, oh no, not the Phantom Zone. So they're exiled to the Phantom Zone, which means they're encased in two-dimensional glass for some reason, flipping through the universe. And it's like, pretty much as soon as they sent them off there, then Krypton exploded or something. Their planet exploded. Okay. So they, as their punishment, they got to survive the end of their planet. Yeah. The Phantom Zone. Did anyone watch the last episode of the latest season of Invincible? Did anyone does anyone watch Invincible watching this? If you do, um, I'd have a mention in the chat. I thought it was a very, very, very clever ending to the show. And do you know what? I could live with that. If that was it and they made no more Invincible, I'd go, okay, strong ending. I mean, it was a bit muted. It was a bit Game of Thrones in that the penultimate episode was where all the shit went down. But then the last episode was kind of like mopping up the day after, which they did a lot in Game of Thrones. But absolutely excellent. Invincible, I would say, if you like the boys, they're all made by the same people. It's all Seth Rogen. But Invincible, the cartoon, it's surprisingly good and funny as well. I don't know. I think I prefer it to the boys, to be honest with you. I think I prefer it to the boys. This is why I'm here, says Witchy Wisdom. Indeed. Right. Okay. So we'll go back to the papers. We are going to Monster will be free to walk the streets alone. German police ordered to stop surveillance on Madeleine McCann prime suspect, who's out on the streets because I don't know, they don't have enough evidence to get him for what they think he's done. Pictured Russian drone tech boss at Disneyland. He calls a simulator a video game, but he's been used to train the Kremlin's next generation of killer drone pilots. There's a typical picture of a typical Russian looking really happy in the magical kingdom. We got Bigger, Louder, Madder, a World Cup like no other. Trump there wearing a hat that says Trump was right about everything. And a story there, working from home ruined my career, says the big read there. Burning hatred, no way to bring Stephen justice. Yep, couldn't agree more. And then we've got the Financial Times here. So what we'll do is we'll go over here so you don't have to see an advert. 2001, I arrived in the UK and the BBC News is hard trailing the upcoming racism report from the government. Being from Toronto, I was prepared for it to be anyone, black, brown, blue, yellow. Who was the report saying the most English were the most racist against the Welsh? As a North American, I said, but they're white. Yeah. Prejudice can take many forms. But yeah. Belfast brace city council's cost of rioting. These dickheads who are like, oh, we're going to protect our community. How are you going to protect the community? By burning shit. Okay. How Russia spies took away the internet. Okay. Who is going to win the World Cup? Bob. Bob's going to win the World Cup. ECB reined in Revolut's European arm over rapid pace of product innovation, temporary curbs last year, deficiencies in approval process, threat to Storensky's strategy. Burnham's vow to pension campaigners opens door for bill running into billions. Andy Burnham has hinted at a new multi-billion pound spending commitment if he becomes Prime Minister, saying more than 3.5 million women deserve compensation over what he regards as a pension scandal. We've also got Cornish group buys Fable's shipbuilder in Merseyside. Camel Laird has been grabbed the public imagination with polar research vessel that was almost called Boaty McBoatface. The famous old shipyard has now been sold to Ballina in a £150 million deal with the long-delayed defence spending plans about to be announced. The privately held Cornish company is banking on a big increase in the Royal spending on the Royal Navy ahead. I hope I love Camel Laird's. It's really fun. Like I wish I'd been there for the launch of Boaty McBoatface, which was ended up being called the RMS David Attenborough. But it's across the water. It's a massive building, big box across the water from Liverpool. And when a big ship gets launched, it's quite an exciting moment. It's got these like massive doors open. It goes down the slipway into the water. But I'm glad that it's been bought by a British company rather than a foreign company. But I have to say, I don't think that when this defense review comes through, if they'd say we're going to spend all our money on making 3 warships. Fuck that shit. Drones. Just make 37 million drones. That's what you need to do. Spend it all on drones. Waspy women, no, they were warned. I mean, yeah. I mean, look, can I say that I didn't know that my pension's going to be taken away? Because I do know. We all know. I'm 47, but there's not going to be any pensions for me when I get to that age. Most of us don't have fucking pensions at my age. They don't even have private pensions. But yeah, you think the government's not going to put the age of retirement up to 85 by the time I'm 67 or 68, whatever it is these days. All right. Racy McRace is doing what? Racy McRacist. Yeah, indeed. There won't be a state pension for me, says Daylight Time. Yeah, but then can we turn around and say, well, we didn't know? We didn't know? No, it's like dead fucking obvious. Okay, so billionaire Ashley targets German brand Hugo Boss, named after the famous dresser of Nazis. We've got Thames water bill rises. The largest water utility will be on the hook for £749 million, including advisory fees to bankers and lawyers if an emergency deal is approved that would hand senior creditors control. Yay. Some terrible news for you. In other terrible news, Octopus hits target. The largest household power supplier has told the energy regulator has now reached its target for capital buffers following a long-running controversy or controversy. There's a bit of a controversy over the correct pronunciation of controversy over its failure to do so. American inflation leaps. Price pressure in the US have jumped to a 3-year high of 4.2%. As President Donald Trump vowed fresh strikes on Iran, even as the conflict drives up energy costs. He actually said yesterday, I love inflation. He said those words. He said, I love inflation. Do you know what I love a bit of? Inflation. That's what he said. President of the United States of America, ladies and gentlemen. Looking forward to his big UFC fight on the White House lawn, if you can believe that. That is actually going ahead on his birthday. Also to celebrate the 250th anniversary of America. A big bare-knuckle brawl on the lawn of the White House. Could you imagine if Obama did that? Next up, we got Goldman spat deepens. This is about a spat with a man made of gold. Ares fund pulls in $8.5 billion. The investment manager has raised $8.5 billion from institutional backers. Taipei plea to big powers. The main opposition Kuomintang party leader has urged China and the US not to treat Taiwan as a pawn. And then cobalt prices sent soaring. Smelters are scrambling to find alternatives to one of the main raw materials in making rechargeable batteries, as an export clampdown by the Democratic Republic of Congo sparks a price surge. Mostly coltan, cobalt, what's it called? Cobalt tantalite, is it? Coltan? I'm going to look it up. Coltan. Columbite tantalite. Sorry. Columbite tantalite. It is a dual metallic ore used primarily to extract the elements niobium and tantalum, named after Tantalus. Tantalizing King Tantalus. Is that what tantalum is named after? I'm going to look it up now. Something that is tantalizingly close. If it is named after him, that's pretty bad because he did cook his son and put him in a pie. Tantalum. There you go. Tantalum in its pure form is mostly extracted from minerals like tantalite and coltan. Coltan is a chemical element. History, physical properties, isotopes. I want the etymology. Etymol. Oh, no. Oh, for God's sake. I hate looking things up online, especially when I'm doing a live show. I'm sure it's very boring. Tantalum was discovered in Sweden. It's tantalum as well, LUM, along with aluminum in America, not aluminium, as we say over here, and also molybdenum, which doesn't have an I, but most of them. we paired the 1 year earlier. Charles Hatchett had discovered columbium, which is now called niobium. French and tantalum. Differences in the million. The name Tantalus was derived from the name of the mythological. The name Tantalum was derived from the name of the mythological Tantalus, the father of Niobe in the Obi-Wan Kenobi in Greek mythology. In the story, he had been punished after death by being condemned to stand knee-deep in water with perfect fruit growing above his head, both of which eternally tantalized him. If he bent to drink the water, it drained below the level he could reach, and if he grasped for the fruit, the branches moved out of his grasp. Anders Eckerberg wrote, "This metal I call tantalum, partly in allusion to its incapacity when immersed in acid to absorb any and be saturated." So there you go. Named after an ancient king from Greek mythology who killed his son, baked him up, put him in a pie, and fed him to the gods. Yeah, you missed that out. You missed. Hang on, I've done all that now. But anyway, so that's where we get tantalum from. So there you go. We discovered it. We get to name it, says Andy. Cobalt and tantalum. Yeah. Yeah, but it's called coltan because the actual mineral that they get is cobaltite. Was it cobaltite and tantalite? So that's like, they get the actual cobalt and tantalum out of it. In the same way that you get bauxite. Is it bauxite? What do you get out of bauxite? Is that copper? Do you get is that bauxite? We get copper out of bauxite. Whatever. I'm not a mineral scientist. China has some new battery technology, iron sulfur, I think, much better and cheaper than lithium. Works better in low temperatures. That's cool. Although iron is very heavy, and sulfur is very sulfuric. The Paulie Donkey says, what is it with Tesla? What is it with the Tatar steel plant blowing up the other day after it was officially purchased by the government? Was there a Sopranos clause? Yeah. Love the Trump, the television agitator, loves chaos, says Paulie Donkey. Yeah. Andy says he'll declare war on the sea next. He might win that one. Yeah. But aluminium, that's it. Yeah. Bauxite is aluminium ore. So yeah, coltan is what we get. These particular elements from that are really important in our electronic products. So you've got some coltan in your phone. You've got some in your phone. You've got some in your computer. You got some in your car. Tantalum, says Paulie Donkey. Yes. Cobalt was named after the copper balti dishes. That's pretty cool. Copper balti. Who was Einsteinium named after? That's what I want to know. Who was Laurentium named after? Who named Curium? Was that named after The Cure, the band, The Cure? Was it? What about Seaborgium? Who was that named after? Was that named after a crew of Borgs that sailed the ocean blue? The Seaborgs. But yeah, it'd be cool to have a period, an element named after you, wouldn't it? Too late now; they've all been named. Although they reckon there might be some super heavy elements that have islands of stability further up the periodic table. But there's a part of me that doesn't really want them to find them. Do you know why? Because the periodic table now it's nice and neat. It's complete. It goes up to 118, and it's all in nice little columns. I like that. All the way up to what's the new one for the last member of the periodic table now? What is it? It's Tallahassee or something, or is it Ossium? No, it'll be like one of the it's Odysseum or something, isn't it? Because it's one of the noble groups, so it'll end in like radon, neon, argon. So it's called like Arisagon or something like that. It's got to end in ON. Ivan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. He's saying, "Shut up, Graham. Stop talking about random fucking elements, you mad bastard." No, he says, "Me being mentioned in detail in Parliament twice in 6 months is good going. Makes up more than makes up for the poor performance of my YouTube channel." Yeah, thanks very much, Ivan. And yes, it absolutely does more than make up for the YouTube channel. Absolutely, mate. That is amazing. Amazing what you've done there. It's absolutely fantastic. Ernie says the thing is that clever people and stupid people are made equal by chaos. They both cannot understand it, so stupid people want it. Island of stability. Don't know if it's possible. Turns out the nucleus has orbitals of a sort. Yeah. What, like the band, The Orbital? They just called Orbital, weren't they? It was The Prodigy for a while, and they just called them Prodigy. But it was The Prodigy, not The Orbital. It was just Orbital. Utah Saints. Was it The Utah? I can't remember. It was a long time ago. I'm not a mineral scientist, but I play one on the telly, says Poorly Donkey. Oh, there you go. Organison. That's the one. That's the 118th element of the periodic table, isn't it? That's the last one. Organison. But shouldn't it be SON to go with the other ONs of the particular, neon, argon, krypton, radon, Oregon? I don't know. Surely some mistake. Hydrogen, helium. It's highly unstable. Only lasts for 3 femiseconds. That's a special type of second named after our friend Femi. Anyway, I realise it is 12 minutes past 11. So I really should wrap things up for this morning. So I think we've gone through a few things. First of all, Nigel Farage. Where's Nigel? Where's Nigel? Don't care. Go away, Nigel Farage. Hiding years. But the thing I wanted to really get across today is just how galling it is that these rich people get away with everything. There's no accountability. There needs to be a reckoning. That's what we should have. Let's make a new party. We'll call ourselves the Reckoning Party. And when people go, what do you stand for? I said, there has to be a reckoning. Because that sounds like grandiose, doesn't it? It sounds like biblical. It sounds like, fucking, there is a reckoning coming. And what's the reckoning? Well, all these rich fuckers who have got away with fucking murder, literally, all their lives, we're going to take them down. We're going to take them down. Reckoning Inc. Reckoning PLC. Go out and it's like a secret guild of assassins, but that use the law to take people down rather than bullets. We don't use bullets around here, son. We use law books. And we take the rich and we squeeze them till the pips squeak. Poorly Donkey. I'm not gonna lie. High energy physics is pretty cool with all of the recent focus on alternative energy and special light for chip making. We could see a lot of new elements made just for the halibut. Just for the halibut. What about unobtainium? Can we have some of that? Any super heavy elements we probably couldn't get to. They'll be in the core. In the core? What, the apple core? Isn't that a laugh? Says Sammy. Nigel Farage. Somehow thinks trans people want to vote for him. I'd rather poke my eyes out with a pencil. Yeah. L'Assassins. I like it. I'm going to bring some retribution, some justice to the world. Some justice. A reckoning. Anyway, I'm going to bugger off now. Listen, I'll be back at 1 o'clock to do some more writing. I'm going to tell you if you want to join me to watch me write. I mean, like I say, it's not particularly fascinating, but you might get a sneak preview of the 8th chapter of my new book, Top of the World. And if you want to join me for that, you are very welcome to do so. That'll be from about 1 o'clock to about 5 o'clock today. And then this evening, I've got nothing set up at the moment, but do us a favor, right? Give us a like for this. It was like meeting up in the morning, having a little bit of a chat, chat with the gang. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And if you are subscribed, hit the bell notification icon so you can know when I'm going to go live, because sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do. But whatever happens, I will definitely be here tomorrow morning, bright and early, for the old morning brew at 9 o'clock or around there. And until then, I'll just say thank you very much for the super chats. Very kind of you all. Thanks very much for being so awesome in general. Thanks very much to Ivan for bringing up the, really helping out in terms of the issue of how autistic people with autism are treated in society. And bringing it to Parliament. And now we've had a debate in Westminster Hall. And now we've had a debate in the House of Lords that Ivan has contributed to. And that I hope that it serves as an inspiration to the rest of yous on, how we can nudge these politicians in the right direction. Anyway, so there you go. I'm going to a day rave on Saturday. Oh, brilliant. That sounds good. Okay. I remember video, says Andy. Them were the days. Them were the days. Do you remember Ovid video? Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Until I see you again, or you see me again, I guess. I'll say thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.